A little hesitant because our town attorney isn't quite here yet. He probably got, oh, I see him walking in right now. So we'll proceed. If you would, everyone, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. One thing I'd like to do is I would like to recognize, I understand that the Orleans County Chamber of Commerce has recognized the Country Lane Veterinary Services as Business of the Year. So for Dr. and Ms. McKenna, congratulations. Well done.
Took a lot of people to put it together. Everybody, it's a well-oiled team.
Good, glad to hear that. Not too many people will look at that as a team effort, and that's what you need is a team effort. Okay. Minutes.
I would move we accept the minutes.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Any opposed? So moved then. We'll skip down to old business for right now. Mr. Mark, you said you wanted to talk, you got some new information
Well, I
about...
just want to let the board know that I got a phone call from the comptroller's office a couple of days ago. There are a few things they want for clarification, they don't want anything material. There is one item though that we do want to take up with the board in closed session, because it allows a personnel matter.
Okay,
Okay?
we will call for a executive session at the end of the meeting.
Is
Okay,
everyone
so...
signed in? No.
So for Water District 9, yeah, I turned it down, it's getting cool in here. As far as Water District 9 is concerned, we still have to produce some more documentation for them to the comptroller's office, that is, so we can proceed with that. Okay, new business. In your packets, last meeting, we had talked about having a backup system for our records. So if anything ever were to happen, at least we would be able to recoup all those records. We had tabled it till this month. Mr. Mark went and spoke with CNH, of which they had sent to us then this explanation of the backup device recommended for the town of Perry, saying that this device will be networked and stored in a locked location. The device has mirrored hard drives, so if one fails, the other would still contain the data. The backup will happen every night and be monitored by the IT company by email for any failures. Placing USB backup drives at every station is a security risk. Any person can walk in and out with the drives. All staff would have to be trained to monitor the health and backup status. Software can be installed to monitor the backups, adding to the cost. Initial costs are for having a technician on site to set up each computer to back up to the network attached storage device. This cost would be incurred whether you choose a USB or an NAS to ensure all critical data is being backed up. 8 USB drives, which is how many computers we have here, is about $560 approximately. plus labor to set up each PC. And their IT company carefully evaluates the best possible solution for the client, taking into account all scenarios and makes the best recommendation. So the estimate for all of this would be $609.97. Any discussion?
Yeah. It says each computer. That's
Each computer has to
3,000.
be linked into that security system.
Well, I'm getting, how do we get to the $1,325?
That's another,
Oh,
that's a different one.
okay, but on this little narrative, it said each computer would be, and you're telling me that's not right. $560 set up at each PC.
For the setup, then you have, what is it, labor?
Labor to set up each PC, $560, so it sounds like we're doing that for every computer.
So we're good with the number that's on the voucher?
Yes,
Okay.
this voucher that says 609.97. Set the other voucher aside, that's the next one on the list.
Okay. I have nothing else.
Okay, do I hear a resolution for this then? That we would accept this bid?
I'll make it.
Okay, Lynn made the motion.
I'll second.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Larry made the second.
In other words, the whole cost is $560?
Nope.
Whole cost is $609.97.
I don't have that sheet. Go ahead.
It should be right there.
Okay.
Okay? Okay, all in favor then of accepting this for our backup system? Any opposed? So carried. Okay. Everybody's had a chance to look at the bills now. Any corrections or changes or questions? Not being any, do I hear a motion to
I
accept the
move
bills?
to accept the paper bills.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Okay, then, the next one also having to be with CNHPC. This one is looking at obtaining 6 monitors for up at this table right here. Just a computer monitor. It would be located each in front of each one of the 6 of us up here. And then one large flat screen monitor to be placed right there on the wall. And the purpose of that is for any kind of I want to say demonstration, but it's not demonstration, but
Presentations.
presentation, thank you. For any presentations that any group or organization so wishes to present, if we were to put in a screen here to drop down, we're all gonna be laying like this. So this way, on our monitors, which will be hooked into a computer down in this corner, we'll be able to look at the same thing you're looking at on that flat screen behind us. So that's what the purpose of this one here is. I don't know if anybody's gone down to the Village of Albion, into their courtroom. They have the same type of setup there. And that way, we can still have the interaction, you can see exactly what's going on. We'll be able to put not the minutes, but the agenda up on the screen, that can be popped up there. And then as we talk about something like this bill right now, or this, proposal. Then we'd be able to put that up there as well. And everybody can see exactly what we're talking about. And we don't have to sit here and yam on. So anyways, this all comes down to, now when I went out, just out of curiosity, I went and looked at flat screens. This flat screen is 55 inches, which is diagonal. I was looking at 60-inch screens. I checked on 6 monitors, and I came up with $1,300 just to buy those 7 screens. And that was $1,300, and they came out with this estimate of $1,325, which surprised me, because now you're talking, and that includes the labor, that includes all the wiring, and making sure everything is operational up in, hooked up to that computer. So that's why I'm asking if there's any discussion on this, about the possibility of going ahead with this.
Yeah, I think it's something to look at. Personally, I'd like to see if anybody's got anything to say in the audience. Carrie?
So I just have, kind of 2 questions. I haven't been to Albion, so I don't know, but just, the screens would be kind of below where they wouldn't be
Yeah.
obstructing.
No, they're just a small monitor screen right here.
And then the other question would be, would it be, I mean, there's not a lot of you up there, would it be beneficial to look at maybe one for every, like, 2 people? Or would it be, I mean, maybe it is better to have, you know, one for each person, but just a thought.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is this in your budget?
It can fit in the budget, yes.
It's been budgeted?
Yeah, that's, I already spoke with the FPR about it, to make sure that it would fit in the budget with no problem, and they said, yes, we can do it.
Thing is too, anybody that wants to put a presentation on can come up and hook into that computer and put it right up so everybody can see it and hear what you're doing. One thing that wasn't in here that we were gonna look into with them is microphone system. So that, again, if there's no fans on, we can hear everybody. If the fans come on, a lot of times you can't. So we're just gonna see what it would cost to have a PA system incorporated in there.
That's anything above and beyond.
Have you thought about a smart board as opposed to a screen? Because a smart board is a little bit more interactive, and you're, you know, somebody can go off and touch it and make presentations smooth and things like that.
You'd have to have a pretty big one for this whole area.
Plus, you need the LCD projector again, and that means mounting it somewhere up in here.
There are smart boards that have
Oh,
the
yes, they do.
projector right off of the smart board.
Yep, I've just seen those too, I just remembered, yes.
That's what they do in all the schools. It's pretty much smart board.
Yes, they do. But then again, then we have to, a person giving the presentation could be right by the computer right there, easily talking to the crowd and us as well. They could have one of those laser pointers to point out stuff, which would work well. Otherwise, if we have a smart board up here, everybody has to come all the way on up here, and once again, we're turning around too. I like to be able to face the group. I don't know about the others, but I like seeing all your smiling faces.
On behalf of the court,
I think a
Could it be
smart
over
board
there?
that size would cost more than what we're talking about.
Because I'm waiting for the year to end to move my calendar back. The judge and I are lost without our calendar
It'd be
here.
up high, it'd be up high.
I know, up there,
Well, then it's gonna be hanging,
because then they can see it better, which is why you're hanging it.
gotta be down about here. And Luke's, I don't know, I don't know. We'll take a look at it.
This has been, to the court, but it's been bicentennials. Can you read those dates from there? No.
But you got
The
this.
thing of it is, we'll be looking into it if everybody kind of agrees that this is something that would work for us. We're not gonna make a decision tonight, I would just proceed into it and get some more information and have them maybe come up and give us some ideas of where they can mount these, so it would be advantageous to everybody.
how often have you had, something already in the past that you would use this for?
How often have you said, we wish we would have had a computer system?
Yeah.
We've said it a few times, but we're also looking down the road as things progress in the community. So that's what we're thinking of. We're looking for the future more than the past right now. Yeah, I mean, take a look. What were board meetings like prior to January? They used to be just the board members in the conference room over there. We've got a lot more people involved now, which is great. It's great. Okay, so, gentlemen, what's your feeling on this then at this time?
I proceed to get some more information on it.
So we table it till next month,
Yeah, why don't we do that?
okay?
I
So-
move that we table this till next month, and we get some more information on it.
Second.
Very good. Okay, something we had discussed back several months ago was the reimbursement to both myself and Shelley Dale Hall for our phones, because rather than 2 phones, we eliminated the town phones and the town contract and everything. We discussed it and talked about it and said, yeah, let's do it, but we never made a resolution for it. So to make it all official, we need a resolution for it.
Also move.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried then. Okay, in your packets. Last week, we had a shared services county meeting, regional water system for Orleans County, talking about combining the water district of all the municipalities, the 10 towns and the 4 villages, and all falling under the property, I guess you could say, for lack of a better word, of the water authority that Albion presently has out at Lake Ontario. So Wendell put together a rough package for the village and the towns about what they would be looking at. They will continue. 3rd page from the back, there are 8 tasks and what they are going to cost. 2nd page from the back is the deadlines for everything that they propose that they will do if we proceed with this. And at that meeting, it was a unanimous yes for, let's continue with this study. Every town and every village representative there did say, yes, we want to see about this. We would like to see how it would help save us money in each of our municipalities. The one thing they asked for, the total package is $120,000 to do this study. Now, according to this, they say the local government efficiency program will pay $47,500. NYSERDA Flex Tech program is paying $25,000, which leaves $47,750 to be picked up. What they asked at that meeting was if each municipality, the 14 of us, would each pay $2,000 towards this study. Now, in my mind, 14 times 2, that's 28,000. I'm just curious to know where they're gonna come up with the other $20,000, but I'm sure that's something that Mr. Nesbitt has worked out already. So what I'm looking for from here is a resolution that we would pay the $2,000 to the county for the study on a combined water district for the whole county. Any questions?
That would still, we'd still own the water though, the way I read it. Don't we still own our water districts?
We still own our water
This is more
districts.
for the management.
This would be mostly for the management itself, yes.
which I think,
Their own meter, it would be a countywide meter reading group, it would be a countywide billing group. They'd have specific employees for that.
I think we could probably save some money myself.
I asked them at the meeting, I said, unlike, let's say, the town of Albion, which their infrastructure is already in the ground, they only need to do upgrades or repairs. Unlike we have 3 water districts yet to go. And I asked them, are you gonna help us get the money to put those in the ground? You're responsible for getting those water districts put in the ground. We have to take the money or obtain the money through rural development and get the grants and put those in the ground. But the water billing itself and the processing the water, getting it to us, they will take care of countywide.
Plus, they do the maintenance, right? If we had a.
No, we'll have to do maintenance on our own. If we have a water main break, we're gonna have to take care of that.
Really? Well, what are we gonna save then?
Yeah,
It'll be mostly with the billing and mostly around the billing, with going out and taking the readings and everything.
Well,
I don't think there's anything with the maintenance.
Oh,
They won't have a specific team.
It
I
reads
can
in
check
here
that.
that we're responsible for it when I read this.
Okay.
well, it doesn't,
Reading the meters right now, it's gotten to the point they just have to drive by and it's electronic.
Yep.
So, I don't know what we're saving on that.
it's not what I was hoping.
no, I thought it meant they would take over the whole thing, in other words, they'd maintain it.
Yeah, if they had a water crew for everybody, and then the highway departments wouldn't have as much work, we might not need as many people.
I got that written down here, where I'll get back to Mr. Nesbit and ask him about equipment. I mean, who does the repairs?
Yeah,
If they have a team that will do the repairs, then why do we need all this equipment? We could get rid of some of our equipment, some of it, not all, because there may be times where we have a major break somewhere. And we might have to jump on it first until they get their team here. So let me check that out.
yeah, to me, if we're gonna make a change of any significance, it's gonna have to encompass the management and maintenance of the water.
Okay.
Otherwise,
I
we're
don't
not
think-
gonna save anything, I don't think. But they could prove me wrong. It's been done before.
Well, I guess we're supposed to find out exactly where they're gonna save us money and everything else. Save us money, but we got paid $2,000 to find out. And it did not sound like they were going to have a team, but I'll ask them. Nobody asked that question that I remember from the meeting. Should we go ahead with the study? Endorsement of the study?
Wouldn't you want to find out where the $20,000 is going to come from? How that's going to be paid before you get mixed up into it?
Everybody's got this packet on page
No,
2.
no.
Oh, all right. It says repairs and maintenance are the responsibility of each separate community, and rates for service vary.
If we do the repairs, do they reimburse us?
It doesn't say that.
That's just another question I got. I see that right there, it's the very last sentence.
Doesn't go far enough the way the scope of the plan is written, so I don't want to spend any money. That's just me. But if they were gonna, if they were investigating taking over and management of it, I'd be on board with 3 feet.
Plus, they're the ones that are gonna, I would imagine, change the rate.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
I'd kind of like to know what that's gonna be, they can tell us, but I mean, sounds like they want the control, but they don't wanna.
I think the whole thing could be done better, but I don't like the way the scope is written.
Right.
Okay. I'll take those questions back to Mr. Nesbit, so this is tabled then at this time.
Is water prices different from each community?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, big time.
So wouldn't that be more of a competition between, you can't charge more because they're charging here, so it helps everybody in the county, and if they put it all together, they got a monopoly, and prices are gonna go up?
Be like Monroe Water Authority.
They did address, George, in someplace in here, two different ways of doing it. Everybody's same water rate or individually. Excuse me. But it didn't clarify what or how much. That was a concern I had.
And then would the $15 charge quarterly for the meters go away?
I would hope it would.
That's something that we have put in the bill. I don't know, because that $15 charge is for us to help come up with the money to pay or maintain that tower out there. With it going county-wide, it's a good question. So, that's another thing we'd have to look at.
Yeah, I mean,
Because we'd have to maintain that thing.
That's part of our infrastructure, yes.
We're looking at what, $400,000 in the next year and a half to paint it?
I think we should just have a big painting party up there for $400,000.
Together with the paintbrushes.
I think a big party.
It's for the painting of the inside. You have to be a certified, it's not the outside. I'll paint the outside.
Thing is, George, I'd be afraid to get inside. You guys would lock the doors on.
Okay. Okay, park redesign. To let you know that with the park, and I'm gonna step on Lynn's toes here, and we won't have to talk about it later on. I have been in contact for almost a year now with Paul Chatfield, the engineer for the town. He also is a professor at RIT, and he teaches an engineering course. For a final grade, his students have to cluster into groups, and they pick a project. And then they have to do everything insofar as the full layout, the infrastructure, if they're building a building, it has to be with the proper fire suppression system, alarm system, everything. And what the grounds have as well. Parking, making sure that all the proper forms, they have to find out for that community. So he gives them specific projects in specific communities. Well, I talked him into using our park as one of those projects. We've got 3 students that are going to meet with us on either Monday or Tuesday. We have a little bit more of a flexible schedule than they do, being students in specific classes. So they're gonna meet with us down at the park, and they wanna hear from us what things we wanna see in the park. We've already did some brainstorming. Any other ideas you may have, I'd love to hear them as well. But we have a full list at this present time. And I'm shooting for the moon on this. It's as if maybe we had $50 million and we can do whatever we want to that park. Well, obviously, we're not gonna do everything. You know, maybe putting up a space needle or something like that, so you can see all across the countryside, no. So we're meeting with them to find out what they wanna know. They wanna see the physical layout of the park property itself. They wanna go from front to back, north to south, and check out the whole park, and then they're gonna do a whole layout for us. They're, you know, based on our suggestions, what they can buy, they'll put together everything. What forms have to be filled out. They'll probably be bugging you, Shelley, to find out about, you know, the code and everything else. I don't know at this time until we meet with them, but we have a meeting coming up with them next Monday or Tuesday. Anything right now, real quick? Should have known.
Of course.
Go ahead.
Just really quick, just as a teacher and as a resident, one of the things, I would, instead of like giving them options for the whole, you know, shoot for the moon, whatever you guys think, and no budget, because I know the park is something that we really would like to take a serious look at. We have specific concerns and specific limitations. Give them a reasonable amount that could potentially be put in the budget next year or the year after that, for them to actually work on, so that we have that. And then if they want to do possibly some additional, well, maybe, if you had this much additional funding, you could also do this,
Mhm.
so that, you know, just to make it more realistic for them and for us, is more of a win-win.
Well, like I said, this is brainstorming. Being an educator, you know what happens with
Yes.
brainstorming.
Yes.
Okay, so that's all it is. We're just throwing all these ideas in here. But yes, what is the most relevant that we can really accomplish, let's say in the next year or two, or down the road as well, what we can look at. So, yes, thank you.
Sean, do they also find grants for some of the projects in the park?
We've already spoken with, if you were at the board meeting back May. I think it was May, when Jay, I can't think of his last name, came in and gave a report about the income survey for Water District 10. And at that time, he also informed us about, he is also a grant writer. He's been writing grants for 20 years. And he charges per grant, not just writing the grant. If you don't get the grant, it's free. So that's my kind of price tag. He takes his money from when we get the grant, he takes a small percentage out of that, a small percentage. So that's how he gets paid, is out of the grant money itself, and that's included in the grant for writing the grant.
But that's not included with the students.
No,
That's
no.
a separate thing.
Separate thing. This is like the first step. Okay, let's see what we've got, let's take a look at it. You know, like community input on it as well, taking a look at the diagrams that they come up with, the layout of the park. And then the next part is, as Carrie pointed out, that first step. What do we do first to start the development? And that's where we will hit up, in talking with, I've spoken with Jay about a couple of different grants that I want. Grant writing is done for this calendar year. But as of the first of the year, next year, there will be a lot of grants rolling out. They roll out right at the beginning of the year. And he knows about 3 projects that I've asked him about, and he is going to be jumping on that right away for us.
Have you talked to Dale about this too, because they maintain that park?
Dale's involved with it, yes.
Okay. Thank
Yep.
you.
Yeah, and it's understandable. Dale keeps saying that, you know, you expand more and you put all this stuff in there, it's gonna be more time consuming for them to help maintain it. Well, that's why we're looking at a couple of different options down there as well, as far as maintenance is concerned. Any ideas, though?
You say you're shooting for the moon, $50 million?
That's just an exaggeration, but
I'd throw out my idea from a couple of meetings ago. Let's put up a 600-foot wind turbine. Empower Perry and let them, if it's free, let them figure out all the problem engineering, putting it up. And
yeah.
if it's free.
Our law only says 500, but
Okay, 500.
We don't want to break that, we'll stay at 5.
Okay, then.
But they have done projects for Orleans County in the past, and and had some very good thing with that. So it's not costing us anything, and why not take advantage of it?
Cindy? Cindy had her hand up.
Are you looking for like just brainstorming ideas what to do with the park?
Yeah, different, you know, we've got down like,
You've got ball fields out there, and soccer field, you have ball fields and soccer fields out there, but, if you're looking for just some wild idea, you know, I mean, at first, when I started going out to the park during baseball, you know, it's kind of a blank slate, you know,
Yep.
which is nice. So immediately I started envisioning trees
mhm.
and a walking park, you know, just
Mhm.
trails that go through it. We do have some runners here in this town, and I
And
think
we've-
that would be,
We've got that hiking trail, biking trail, and exercise trail, you know, those kind of concepts.
I think we need bathrooms.
Well,
No, we don't need
Yes, we do, but no, we don't, because of vandalism, and that's the problem. We're counting with a lot of other people that have nice facilities, but they get vandalized.
Bullard just like theirs. It's a problem.
It is, and that's where we're thinking, okay, Porta Johns might be the cheapest economically, only because we wouldn't be paying for repairs all the time. That's unfortunate, but yes, it would be nice to have some nice bathrooms down there.
And as you know, I have a number of people that were on the committee looking at this. And they would like some park benches put through periodically, and maybe some electric and water to the gazebo, things of that sort. Laura Shortridge was the lady that was supposed to work with us on that, Lynn.
we've talked to, probably the first thing we'd want is power.
Mhm.
Because we have no power to the pavilion,
Right.
with no power, well, no power. to
Yeah, you
anything.
can't even, I mean, if you're
So-
giving a presentation or a picnic or something, you can't even play music or anything unless you bring everything with battery or, you know, a generator.
We're gonna make a big list up, and then you prioritize, you
Mhm.
go down, and you can throw out everything, but then you start eliminating
Sure.
and get to reality, you know. But there's some things you can do economically, and there's other things that take more money.
Yeah, it's, you know, I forgot to put on here, one thing that we had talked about, picnic tables.
Mhm.
Making sure we have them kind of located in a couple of different places as well. And going back to what Cindy had said with trees, we need to take a look at where we can strategically plant some trees.
but not big maples.
And
Not
refuge
stand up
cans,
tall.
refuge cans, don't forget that, because that was a big concern.
Yep, yep. Okay. Yeah, one thing that I was thinking about here as well is, from what I understand, we used to have, like a Pop Warner football team used to play over here. That's what I was told, so I was thinking, why can't we do a combination football, soccer fields right there? So they can be utilized by both sports. I've got that down here. And you know where I was thinking about that? It'd be nice if we could put lights around the big ball diamond. We have more teams coming in, you know, the tournaments and whatnot. And the wintertime, it would still be able to be lit up if we can put in a temporary ice rink right there. So that families could go down and the kids could ice skate down there, and maybe somebody, a couple groups might want to have a little impromptu hockey game or something. But we could utilize it in the wintertime as well, if we got lights down there for that area. And I don't think a temporary ice hockey rink would, I remember putting one in my backyard a couple decades ago, just for the kids to play on. It wasn't that big, but it was just a big plastic sheet. And I had about like 8 inches of plywood all the way around, and just filled it with water. And the kids had a great time on it. And it didn't kill the grass, which is what surprised me. I thought it was gonna have a big brown spot. So, yeah. Anything else? Okay, thank you.
Can I add something?
Sure.
We need to know the layout here in the parking lot. It's kind of a dead zone over here, somebody's gonna get clipped over here somewhere.
Over,
Where the big-
directly in front of the
Yeah, where
barns
the big
there?
opening is, you can't see anything there, it's like black.
Okay. Okay.
I think that's very important for safety of residents.
Well, let me segue right into this next topic here on the agenda. I'll put that in here. A couple years back, I remember Mark Chamberlain and the board here talking about, and they were checking into National Grid for changing over all our lights, all our street lights to LED. And at that time, National Grid said we had to buy the conversion kits, became ours, we had to basically maintain them. It was like $1,800 per pole. Well, I called them a couple of times just out of curiosity about it. And I got a phone call back just, I don't know, about the beginning of this month, no, about midway through last month, in August, from National Grid. The gentleman said there was a bunch of new incentives out, and he provided me with the information. Did I? Yep, right here. About this LED conversion kit, or the program. And we have 18 poles. Really, there's 19. And I include in your package there the inventory, because we received in June, I think it was, and from National Grid, an inventory report of all our streetlights. And I handed it over to Dale and asked him to please check them all out for us, in case there's any problems with any of them, so we can report back to National Grid. They have 19 on here, which means they count this one that lights up the front of the building right here. That is not considered one of the light poles, and therefore is not part of the LED conversion, because these are street lights, not a floodlight for a parking lot. So what he has in here, he worked it all out for us, and where is it? I guess I didn't put that page on here. Anyways, what it would come down to is we have to pay National Grid like $2,800 up front. They will come in, they will replace all our street lights with LEDs. We've got 3 that are a little bit more powerful, like up at the end of Eastbury and 31. Another one, which is, they're 150 watts each. The other one is up here at Wesley and Eagle Harbor. And there's another one that's about 100 watts, and I can't remember where that one is. All the rest are 70 watts. All the ones that go down 98 are all 70 watt lights. And they will convert them over to LED. Now, after they have done the conversion, put the new lights in, which they still own and will maintain, we just have to let them know about it. But then with the reimbursements and everything, we will get a check back. So the initial cost will only cost us $1,600 for all the lights to be done, versus the $1,800 per light they were talking about before. So I've asked him, he's doing a complete survey on every single one of the lights at this time to get back to us about this. Let us know exactly what the costs are gonna be for all the poles. And John, I'll put down about another floodlight or take a look at the feasibility of putting one there. We've already have it in the works for a floodlight to go in at the entrance going into the park, because that's quite dark right there going back into the park. So that's in the works right now. Dale had put in the paperwork like 2 months ago, and when he started talking to me last night, I said, hey, what about that floodlight going into the park? And he said, oh yeah, we're working on that. And the very next day, he gets a phone call from the woman he had contacted. So it is working. Yes, Mr. Naka?
Has there been any kind of a study done on the temperatures? I know that certain degrees of temperatures affect the lighting on those LEDs, make them dimmer. Like
Yeah, the colder weather in the
20, 30
winter.
degrees and below, they kind of dim out. So is there any kind of study that has been done on that?
Yeah, I couldn't tell you,
Oh,
but I will
yeah, because
contact Mr.
I know they do have a temperature.
Yeah, because I have them on my front porch, and I know in the wintertime, they're real
They're really
slow.
dead. They're really dead in the cold weather.
Yep.
30 and under, that could be a concern, especially if there's an emergency or something, you know, on the road, so.
Good point. I will ask him about that. Thank you. Okay. As I said at the beginning, if anybody can grab one, there was the results from the wind turbine survey.
Sean, when you're talking to National Grid, could you check on that pole by West Millers?
Oh, you like that granite one?
Man, that is gonna go one of these days.
It's got a second pole hole in it, doesn't it?
No,
No,
no.
there should be
Yeah.
one on the other side.
That's
of
a
the
brand new
road.
pole, that's a
No.
brand new pole, they don't load it.
I don't know, but that looks
Oh,
dangerous.
it's straight up, it's about to snap.
I swear to God, it looks like it's falling more and more every time I go by. I
How
think
about
it's
that
just my
second?
imagination.
They have a pole like half its size next to it, don't they?
No,
Yeah, but all the
Is it
things-
separate? I thought they were tied together. I never
No,
paid that much
no.
They
attention.
actually probably need one on the other side of the road to pull it back, I don't know.
but it needs to take some weight off the top of it, is what I think.
Yeah, they got, what, 4 of those big
Yeah,
canisters,
there's-
whatever they
there's
are.
all
Up there, yeah. I don't know, I just thought if you're
Yeah.
gonna be calling them anyway, that somebody ought to look into that.
First good windstorm in the winter.
Yeah, but the whole town is gonna be down if that
Yeah.
goes down.
Yeah, okay. Okay, wind turbine results. Okay, on the very first page is the letter from Kathy Spencer from LaBella, outlining everything, where these were handed out, how they were collected, and, where they were handed out, what locations. No, I didn't have down the county fair in here. Where they were collected, they could have done them either electronically or on paper and then mail them on in. Or I sent 2 big packages that were about 1.5 inches thick, twice. So when they were all handed in, they eliminated some surveys because of a variety of different reasons, which she outlines right there. I'm not gonna read this whole thing. And then on the second page, now I'm sorry, I didn't run this off in color, but it is real pretty, and it is on our website right now. So if you wanna look at the pretty result, it's the exact same thing, but it's on our website at this time.
Where? Sorry. Is
I don't
it-
know, Lee?
I looked before the meeting and I didn't see it.
I put it on earlier, it's right on the front page under the highlights.
Bottom page.
Okay. As you can see right there, based on this, there was about 44% support, 39% opposed, 8 neutral, and 7% said they needed more information. 82% of the people that responded were full-time residents of Berry. 14% were non-residents, which means they might have been somebody that was living along the edge of the, along the border of Berry, but not in Berry. And then you had some seasonal residents, 4%. Then when you turn the page, you've got a number of issues that they had asked about. What are your concerns? And this is how they were all weighted. From complaint resolution was the largest one. You know, if somebody has a problem with a wind turbine or wanting to contact, they want to make sure that there is clear communication with the wind company. All the way down to shadow flicker was the lowest one. And then there were the comments.
Can I say something on that page?
Yes, sir, go ahead.
I think the way I'm reading this is when you say that shadow flicker was the lowest one, if you take 0.95 and a line there, and you take the highest at 1.3 and there, you got such a, I mean,
Well,
everything
it's
is
narrow.
tight in there. Nothing spread itself out to say.
No, nothing stands farther
And
out
that's-
than the other.
And that's where, I mean, if something rose to the top two, you'd see these others fall down lower. But it's like, everything's a concern.
It's very much a concern, yes.
Everything's a concern.
And then, here are some of the written comments that people had put in. And there are 3 pages of those based on different topics, whether it's historic and archaeological resources, infrastructure, land and farms, water resources, wildlife, socioeconomic impacts, public safety, human health, and then just some other additional comments. But these are, and as it says in the very front page, the whole purpose of this was to gather, Labella wanted to gather information from the community. What were their concerns? So that they can take a look at this and help address those for the community. Whether pros or cons, they wanted to see what the community wanted to know about the wind turbine farms. You find it? Okay. Yeah, it's in color on there, it's pretty. Okay, so that's the results there.
So what did we learn from this?
I don't know. Other than there are concerns, like everybody's got concerns, and we all know that. We all know, because it's the unknown. We don't know anything about it.
Can you help us to understand though, what the logic was beside, for not having everyone be sent one? I mean, when it's this big of an issue to the community, I guess I don't understand why this is where we're nitpicking over, if it was a financial choice, I guess I just don't understand and don't feel like it may not be very representative because it was only people that, you know, may have, you know, strong feelings about it one way or the other. I guess, is there a reasoning?
What's the population here?
2150.
About 2150, and that's everybody
There's
from,
only 700 voters.
So we're between 10 and 15% response rate.
Well, the kids aren't gonna
He's
respond.
saying,
yeah.
Oh, okay, so 700.
Go by the voters, I would.
Okay.
and was this only limited to voters?
No,
No. But I mean, those are more the adults
Right.
that would respond.
But there wasn't an age.
there was no age discrimination on it.
So was it possible that younger people were, I mean, people.
It
under
could be,
18
but
or
remember,
not?
everybody had put their name on there, and they were predominantly landowners or residents of Berry. They weren't, I'll ask them, but I don't think there was any teenagers. You know, I don't think any teenagers filled it out.
There's only 750 registered voters in Berry around.
759. Jan?
Well, how many kids? I mean, that's just blowing my mind that half the people aren't even registered to vote.
Yeah, I know.
And they don't vote. This is about how many people vote on anything, when it comes right down to it. Jan, do you know how
I
many?
think there's about 1,238.
Okay.
Just about.
And the last
About 50,
election,
50.
only 600 and some
Very,
votes.
yeah.
Yeah,
Which was the most you've
That's
ever
correct.
had.
yep.
Right.
Smallest community, we had the greatest turnout.
But was there a reason that it
I
wasn't?
couldn't give you a reason other than, you know, that's what the team had decided on, and they said, okay, we'll make them available in this location, at the library, the Berry Deli. We let people know about it.
Okay, so,
It was on our website about please getting a hold of them.
okay, and what percentage of the community has internet?
Almost 50%.
Almost 50. So
That's-
that cuts
That's
it right down.
internet, and then a lot of them use hotspot too. They just, with their phones, they check things out as well.
I guess I just wonder about the validity. I would have felt more comfortable if an effort, a conscious effort had been made. That's just my.
Almost half of
put
them
it-
were sent in hard copy.
But how many got them sent to them?
Yeah, I think they should have been mailed to each household.
We-
need that time to-
Can I add something real quick?
Wait a minute, the third paragraph on the front page says they were also mailed to Berry residents.
No, in the penny saver. Not everybody.
No, I got them in
Here's
the
what I'm
mail.
reading.
What?
I got it in the mail.
Okay, do you know why you got it in the mail? And I don't know why, but I mean, if Berry Town didn't send them out, who would have sent them in the mail? We went to a meeting and we were told they were gonna be sent out to people, supporters,
But not everyone.
but not everyone.
I know I got one in the mail.
We did not.
I
We
thought
did not
ours
receive
came
them.
from.
I did, but
Did,
why or what I can't.
did
Why?
any, were they sent
I
out?
didn't
Can we ask, were they sent out by?
It doesn't say that they
APEX?
were posted and mailed individually. It says they were put in the penny savers on the front page.
So you
Got
guys
mine in
didn't
the
mail
mail.
me out?
No, these are telling.
Then there's-
So none of-
Okay,
We did a-
irrelevant right now.
Well,
It's already passed and how that was handled. I did want to point out one thing though, is that during the bicentennial, and Maureen can back me up with this here, we sent out a questionnaire, did we not?
Keep going. Your question.
Adrian had put together, I sat here one night with Adrian and Kelly Dudley, and the three of us stuffed envelopes that went to every single residence in this community, asking to have some input, some information about this community over the past umpteen years and what they can help us with. Out of those, I don't know, we only got back about 15 or 18 questionnaires. We spent a lot of money just getting those mailed out. And that is something that I thought was very much more relevant for us as a community for 200 years of celebration. I know it's not modern daytime facts right now, but, I mean, 200 years of history right there. I thought people would have, it just astounded me. We got virtually no response on those surveys. Yes.
So I just saying on those surveys, because I did look at that survey. That survey had a lot of open-ended questions that were gonna take a significantly more amount of time to complete rather than a survey that was done for this purpose. A survey that's done for a celebration, for a party, compared to a survey that's done for a project that is going to impact every single resident of our community, whereas a survey for a community event where it's going to be, yes, I agree, it's important and it's our history and it's something that people should be involved in, but the level of everyday impact is completely different than a survey that, for a proposed project
And
that is going to impact every single resident. here.
15 responses to that and 300 responses approximately that we got back on the wind
And
turbines.
if it had gone out, if there had been an actual mailing to every single resident in our community, we may have had an even better understanding of our
Okay.
community.
We'll remember that, then, yes.
One thing I think I need to say now is, when I go out and talk to the neighbors and stuff about this, and I haven't done it in a couple months, but when I was talking to them, I got a majority, it was pretty hard, I got a majority of people that have a disconnect with this town, that they don't feel they're listened to, they don't feel they have a voice, and what they say doesn't matter.
And a lot of them don't even know their next door neighbor.
Just, and then I'll get off this subject. Who was involved in the vetting process for the surveys that were disqualified? Who did that?
That was all done with Labella.
With Lobella, but who helped them or provided the address?
Labella did all the research, checking out addresses and whether the person was like from Lindenville versus Berry or Holly. Okay. Before I move on to anything else, I'm going to ask Mr. Ike if he's got anything from the county that he'd like to share with us.
You know, just briefly, we're the same boat as everybody else with budgets right now. Building project is coming along great. We're on time schedule, it's very good. Roof is going on this week, and we promised this morning that by Friday they'll be pouring the second floor, weather permitting. And then next Wednesday, the bottom floor. We have a meeting once a week, every Wednesday morning at 9 o'clock. Chuck Nesbitt, myself, and John Phillips, represent the county, and we meet with all the contractors, electrical, plumbing, sprinkler systems, in the main building. It's very interesting. We meet for an hour, we report to everybody what's been going on, what they're doing, what's going to be happening the next couple of weeks.
Is that on schedule, ahead of schedule, behind
That's
schedule?
really great on schedule. Weather's been great this summer, it's been dry.
Till you start getting some of the remnants of some of these hurricanes.
Sean, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
I can't hear this over, I can't hear over that.
Yes,
Is he talking about the county building?
yes, yes.
Where, I'm sorry,
Yeah, this is a good point here.
how do I get in there? I can't,
Where is it?
I tried to go to the DMV and I'm driving around, there's no signs, I'm like, where's the entrance to get in?
There's on the
Well,
west
there's a
side.
little building, it's a little lean-to on the west end of the main top.
Okay, that's not where the
That's the
construction.
only entrance into the county
So go
office.
through the construction.
Drive all the way through.
Drive all the way
Okay.
around the construction, yeah. Wait for the light, so it turns green. Then drive around the construction, find a parking spot,
Okay,
and if you're an elderly person, they will pick you up with little carts if you want it, or just walk down, you see the sidewalk, and go right down to the little building and where
okay, I just kind of thought maybe everybody else would like to know too. Thank you.
Actually, we kind of thought, you know, once this construction got started, our EMV would kind of drop off because of the inconvenience for people, but basically, it's kind of increased a little bit. So, we're doing
It
good.
looks like it's gonna be a very nice building.
Thank you.
Anything else, sir?
That's about it.
That's it. I'm not gonna ask you about the water, countywide water, because I know you're not involved with that directly.
We're not involved with that directly yet.
Yeah.
It's still in the process.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, let's get down to the last few things we can fly through real quick. Yes? For me, our financials, we have used, or the average should be at this time, we should have used 66.64% of our annual budget. Right now, town-wide, we have used only 59.8% of our budget, and highway has used only 58.17% of their budget. So we're sitting pretty good right now, although I'm sure that next month, this report's gonna jump for the highway because they bought a lot of stone to do road work. Plus, we have, like Alice Road is gonna be getting repaved. So that's gonna be costing us a few bucks. Okay, Dale's not here, scratch that one. For those of you that didn't know, Dale had surgery yesterday, he had a knee replacement. So we won't be seeing him probably for about another 2 meetings. Maureen, thank you. Highway, Larry, anything new there? Seeing how Dale's not here?
I just hired a new man and working on the roads, mowing roadsides. And on Lee Street, digging down there for that water line. That's about it.
Down on,
Seems on Lee.
31A.
oh yeah, 31A there across from the pit
For Watkins,
for Eric Watkins, yeah, Watson.
or Watson.
Okay, planning. Kurt, did you want to address us?
What we did last month, or this month, we had a public hearing for the Grange, for Shirley Nigro, and she's gonna have a ceramic studio. And at the public hearing, there was no opposition, there was a couple of comments in favor. So, we granted that special use permit for her. We discussed land division shortly, and the problem with, like, the Grange making a non-conforming lot. It was non-conforming to begin with, but it really ended up bad. Maybe, you want to fill them in on?
Yeah, it was a non-conforming lot that they made even more non-conforming. So, that's why the board talked about, land separation and perhaps going to the planning board for all land separation, so that doesn't happen in the future, and the discussion is still ongoing with that.
Then we talked about the wind ordinance review. We'll be doing that next month. Hopefully our town attorney will be present, help out with that. That's pretty much it. Did I skip anything?
Solar.
We talked about solar. I don't know when we're gonna get to work on that. Kind of would like to get that sold out.
Your meeting next month is
The second Monday, 6:30.
6:30, okay. And Monday, that which is October 8th at 6:30. Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay. Lee, did you want to add anything for zoning?
The zoning approved the area variances for the Grange. We had a public hearing also for a gentleman on Maple Street for a handicap ramp, which was, they were both approved.
Thank you. Park committee, we already talked about the park, right, Lynn?
Right.
Utilities, we talked about the LED lights, right, Rich?
That's good.
All right. Lance, anything else other than Water District 9? All right. Okay, now we get down to the speakers. Now, first speaker.
Sean, did you have any, money from the bicentennial and the Gary Betterment Community, or doing anything with that? Have you looked at it, or?
We are moving, yeah, we met as, the steering committee met. We talked about it, a couple different options, what we're looking at doing with the money that is left over. It'd be nice for us to get that account closed out as soon as possible. We're gonna be meeting again to say yes or no, and this is where the money, because what we want to look at is some of the people who are very involved, where we could make donations to what groups, organizations, and so on. Also looking at some of the money going towards an embetterment as a seed fund for the embetterment committee to get things rolling for the community to help, as Dr. McKenna pointed out, how people are kind of out there and don't even know their neighbors and so on. Try so we can start doing something community-wide, bring community together, I should say. So, yeah, we're looking at a couple of different things. We're just not gonna get rid of the money, there we go, immediately like that. We're gonna make sure that we use it or spend it or give it out appropriately to the right places.
How much was left?
Approximately $10,000. So we got a lot of money there to hand out. Yeah, did you have a question yet, Kirk?
The amount, and who's on the steering committee?
That is Maureen, myself, Kelly Dudley, Adrian Daniels, who am I missing?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, Kathy Klein, and Dale Brooks. God, I'm glad she's not here, I get in trouble. Okay, then, first speaker, Miss Allen. Sorry for waiting so long.
That's okay. I only get 5 minutes, so. That's all right. I mean, I'm just reading the rules. I'm gonna talk really
Oh,
quick.
yeah, I didn't even get that out yet.
So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Dawn Allen. I'm the Orleans County Real Property Tax Director. So I kind of coordinate a lot of the assessment function, the training of the Board of Review. We do all the tax mapping in our office. I produce all the tax bills, actually process all them for all the municipalities with town, villages and schools. I work with all the town's budgets that get turned in, and we do all the apportionment of all the county tax. We split it up over all the towns and whatnot. So it's kind of multifaceted. But one of the things that we do is from time to time I go out and talk to people about exemptions. And why I'm here to the town of Barry is because I'm going to talk to you about your senior citizen tax exemption. Okay, what this big book is here that I have are a compilation of all of the local laws within our county for tax exemption. The senior citizen tax exemption is a local option exemption. So each board, each school, each village, and county has to adopt a local law to grant this exemption. And under New York State law, it's based on income. So these aren't for all senior citizens, these are basically low-income seniors, okay? Currently, Orleans County, the exemption that we grant at the county level, the minimum, or to get a 50% break on your county line item, you have to make $15,500 or less. So that's severely low. That's a little over $1,000 a month. And to get 50,000, and then it graduates up by a certain percent. The top exemption is 20% at 21.2. So I can tell you now that within the town of Barry, using the income scale that Orleans County has granted, you have 13 eligible residents who qualify for this exemption. They get it at the county level. Now, what I've been doing though is compiling all the local laws because we maintain the database. We have a centralized database where all of our assessors connect into this database and we're live. We have a live system. So, and I maintain what's called the library table. So I take these local laws and I go in and I check off the things that each town qualifies for so that when the taxes and everybody's calculated, it calculates out all these exemptions properly. So if I don't have a local law in place, I've been searching for them because some of them have been adopted way long time ago. And for some reason, Barry's been granting this exemption at their local level, but they've only been granting it at a $12,500 income, and all or nothing. So you get this 50% exemption as a senior citizen, but what do I want to say? The income is only $12,500. It's not a graduating scale like the county and all the other towns have adopted. So what I'm trying to do is, I'm here to try to say, I'd like to clean up the file and clean up the file so that we have some sort of local law on the books that lets these people continue the exemption that has been granted, but we can't locate the law. That income limit, I mean, I've been doing this 29 years. I've only been doing the county portion for 12 or 13 years. But I can remember in working with the town of Barry over the years, that income limit has been like that for years, long time. So supposedly that's out there. We don't know. We don't even know if that's really real, because we can't locate the law. So what I'm asking is that maybe you have a public hearing, and you consider actually formally adopting a local law that allows these people to continue this exemption. Because if a comptroller comes in, the first thing they're gonna do, and they are auditing, they're auditing assessors' offices, and they're coming in the county, they're coming in my office, our offices, and they're saying, because we maintain the file, do you have a local law on the books? But see, I was ahead of time, and I started this book probably 5-6 years ago. So I've got it compiled by township and by exemption. So I have a pamphlet.
Good.
And basically, if you think about it, 21.2, you state whatever you want there. 21.2 is not a lot of money for a senior citizen. When they get, you know, a tax bill of, and I have to deal with them when they come in January. You know, they'll get a tax bill sometimes of, you know, $1,500, and they're not making that. And it's due at the end of January. They're not making $1,500. And they're like, okay, how am I gonna pay this? What do? I need food, I need to heat my house. And a lot of them don't wanna sign up for food stamps. A lot of them don't wanna sign up for heat. And I've shipped them that way. And then they need medications on top of that. So you're looking at, like I said, 13 people. That's it. It's not.
I got a question. You said you've looked at, and other towns have them with a graduating
Yep.
scale.
I can show you what.
Well, I was wondering if you could send us copies.
Well, this is an old analysis I did, so just ignore that top part. But when I had, because I go in front of the legislature, my committee, and from time to time we change our income limits, and I've done it twice in the last 12 years, where we change our scale and we might up it by $1,000 every, 5 or 6 years. So that's old data, that's like data from 14, but over where, at the bottom where it says recommended, this is what the county has adopted.
The county has adopted that this time.
Yes, yeah, and I think most of our towns have adopted that as well.
Now, question I have, you call this a senior citizen exemption?
Yeah, it's.
But isn't senior citizen by age, and this is all based on income?
Well, it's age, you have to meet, if you look at your pamphlet, you have to be 65 years old of age, and you also have to meet that income. So there's
Okay.
two things, yeah. Yeah, so the county was, 2014 was when they amended it. Yeah, so about every 7 years, it's like we've been doing it. The town of Albion adopted it in 2009. That same income. The town of Carlton did it in 2014 as a county. I have a lot of them because I have like their whole history here. Back when they first started. Oh, town of Clarendon.
Are any of these on the county website?
What, the limits?
Yeah.
No.
What has been?
No, these are just all these are just all the local laws.
I didn't know, maybe under your department if you had some examples in there.
No, I can put one on there. I think I do have a chart somewhere at the office I have to locate. But all of the towns, I believe, are now at 21.2. That sliding scale and not just the flat amount of 12.5. But,
Okay.
so if anybody has any questions,
So
it does,
we have 13 people,
we have 13 people that are eligible.
and they have a residence,
Exactly.
and they're making,
Yes, yes.
Less than 12.5.
I don't know how.
Well, no, they're making less than 21.2. You have, I'll tell you exactly how many you have that are qualifying for the other one. For the 12.5 one,
There's one qualifying right now.
There's ones qualifying for 12.5 right now. There are. Because there's people that are just getting SSI, basically.
How do they, how do you do it?
Exactly.
They're
I
really
talked-
good budgeters then.
Yeah, they try. I mean,
That's heat.
they'll
that's
pay their
food.
property taxes to keep their house before they eat. That's the way they are. Seriously. Okay, so you have only 4 people that are eligible for that are getting the one that the town of Berry offers.
Only
Well,
4?
5, you have 4. But if you switch to like with the county, you're gonna have 13.
How long have they've been receiving?
No, this is what they've already, this is what they've established.
What do you mean, how long have these people been getting this exemption? Yeah, I don't know how long. Not looking at it.
They're not currently receiving the insurance.
There are 4 people that are receiving it at the town level.
But the county.
At the county level, there are 13, I'm sorry, there are 15.
But they are not
Or no.
receiving anything at the town level. No,
There's 4 people at town level,
right.
okay? And then we have, 4 people at town level and 4, 8, 12, 15 at county level. Sorry, 15 at county level, I missed that. Last 3.
So that means there could be 19 altogether.
No, there's 15. There's 15 altogether. There are 15 eligible senior citizens.
That's what I'm
Okay,
saying, they're
there's
eligible.
eligible. So you've got, it's confusing. It is confusing because some of these people qualify for the county and the town portion.
Right.
Some only qualify for the county, so you have to add those together to come up with, and it's not 19, it's only 15. So, for county purposes.
Well, you know what happens is the kids usually get together and they help them out.
Well, yeah.
So, Ms. Allen, if we were to adopt a sliding scale like comparable to the counties,
Yeah.
all 15 would fall under that for
Yeah,
us too.
that's exactly, what I'm giving you right now is what you're gonna end up with. Which is a good thing because we have it out there and you have the data, so.
Okay. Interesting.
Interesting?
Yeah, I'm just,
But,
I'm dumbfounded that we got some people that are, living at such a low income. I'm
It
listening to
is.
Lynn right there, with electric and heat and food.
I know how much.
And you're
it
saying
costs.
they're only getting Social Security, which for most people is what, $1,200 a month?
Exactly. How do you afford a tax bill that's?
Yeah, a tax, how do you take care of the maintenance of the house itself?
And
No.
and tax and property tax is saying for how many years,
Yeah.
contributing. It's just my thought, but.
No, it's a good point, very good point. You made us aware of something. that
Well, I
we
just wanted to
realized.
explain it a little bit because I know it's kind of like, some people were kind of not really interested in it the last time we talked about it. So,
I don't know, I've been here, this is the first time I've ever heard of this.
oh, I
I've been on the board
talked,
for
I
18
talked
years.
to, I think it's one of the supervisors previous to you and he said they weren't interested in it, so. So I thought change, do it again, right?
Yeah, you got it?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. We're definitely gonna be looking into this.
Okay.
How soon
Yeah.
can we change it?
Well, okay, so if the town, let's talk about a local law. Okay, so you have to have a public hearing first. So you have to call for the public, so it's gonna take probably 2 meetings. I would say do the public hearing and then you vote on it afterwards. So you have people, you can have people speak on, have a public hearing for or against it. It wouldn't take effect this year because,
It's gotta be done by March 1st.
right, actually it has to be adopted by January 1st.
Before the
If it has
first,
to be done
in the year you're.
It has to be done so many days before taxable status date. And taxable status date is March 1st, so you would have to have your local law in place by the first of the year to qualify for the next tax cycle. So you'd be looking at the 2020 bill is where they'd be eligible. Yeah, no, it sounds weird, doesn't it? So I think my 5 minutes are up.
Yeah, to tell you the truth, I don't know why. I don't know if you saw me beating on it. It stopped with 8 seconds to go.
Did it?
Yeah, it did. You know, and I flipped it on and off and on and on. It won't, I don't know what you did to it. They're gonna be happy, the rest of the speakers.
Yeah, I killed it.
You killed it. I gotta figure out what's going on here.
I'm sorry. So I will email you
Please.
the list of all of the towns and what their limits are at. I'm pretty sure that 100% of them outside of Barry are all on that schedule.
The county schedule?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we tried to do it uniformly so that there was, you know, when you're talking to senior citizens, it, you know, was kind of seamless throughout, so.
So we have to, basically, time frame is, we have to have it, the law passed and on the books before January 1st.
Yeah, you got plenty of time.
But this will not kick in and take effect
To the year after.
until 2020, the following
Well,
year.
yeah, because the property owner's gonna have to make application by March 1st of this year. Yeah, so they'll have to apply by March 1st to get it for 2020. It's just like anybody's applying for any exemptions, it's always the March 1st preceding the, you know, that whole, your next tax stuff.
It will be similar to STAR, because now since
Start
they're
and
five,
exemptions, everything gets filed
They're all
by
on
that
that
day.
timeline.
Yeah.
And there's so few people, at least it's very
Manageable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
We
not.
can
I
mail
get like
stuff.
that too.
It's not difficult. I just had, believe it or not, like I said, I've been working in this environment for 29 years. I just had one of my senior citizens when I started 29 years ago just pass away, 100 and some years old, still in their house, like up until the last year. Yeah. I was like, wow, that is wild to have a senior citizen that long. So.
Barry does a good job of sending those out.
Renewals,
Every year.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, he does. You're required to renew, are those required to be mailed out every year?
He does a nice job of that, so.
Yes, he does. Okay, thank you for having me.
Thank you for
And
being
if any of you
patient.
have any questions,
You can
email,
stay for the
call.
rest of the meeting if you want to.
Oh, no, way. I've been at meetings all week. Almost every night. Phil's gonna stay around. You can fill me in later.
I'll give that a try again. Okay, Miss Carrie Richardson, please. For the records, I didn't say it, did I, for Miss Allen, but this was to state her name and, okay, slap my hand.
Carrie Richardson, East Ferry Road. So today, I just wanted to share a little bit about how, as public officials, how important it is to be actively involved and aware of what's going on with the turbine situation, seeing as how, as public officials, the public safety, health, and welfare is the top priority. And one of the things that often is stated is that the wind turbines, like the idea of people getting sick or having issues caused by the infrasound, caused by the noise, is just phooey and not really a big deal, not something to be concerned about. And what I wanted to share is just a synopsis of a study that's called Wind Turbine Noise and Human Health, a 4-decade history of evidence that wind turbines pose, and just share a little bit about how these large wind turbines, they do pose health effects. It's a 72-page study. I'm not going to go through and read it all, but I will be sharing it with all of you, and if anyone is interested in seeing this study or hearing more about it, yes, there is a call for more information. The stance that in conclusion, the authors state, and by the way, they reference 180 studies. So it's not like it's just, hey, this is what we throw together and this is how we feel. This is a legitimate study. And it says, we have discussed in this paper various elements of acoustic sound perception, sound measurement, and psychological reactions, and the role these factors play in support of the view that a general causative link exists between human health and the ILFN emitted by industrial wind turbines. And that's the infrasound, I'm gonna have it, but I'll send it to you. The available evidence warrants the following conclusions, and then they have a list of 12 conclusions that are drawn that specifically go through and explain that these are legitimate concerns that individuals have. Large wind turbines generate infrasound, which is not normally experienced as sound by most human listeners. Some people, not everyone, and again, I'm not saying that everyone is going to be negatively impacted, just like what I sent out before about the individual who abandoned his home because his family could not, he was a civil engineer and he could not deal with turbines that were over, one was 1,600 feet from his home was the nearest one, and the other ones were a little bit farther away from that. I'm not saying that every resident or every individual is going to be negatively impacted by these, but if individuals are abandoning their homes or are having symptoms such as, some people, however, experience it in the form of pathological symptoms such as headaches, dizziness, nausea, or motion sickness, which appears to be caused by the excitation of resonance inside closed structures and the human body itself. And I think that we've all had headaches. We all know how annoying they are and how nobody likes to deal with them on a regular basis. And if in your home there's something that's in your backyard or nearby that's causing those headaches, and you don't have a refuge from that, you don't have an ability to get away from that, we need to take that seriously. So when the idea comes up about wind ordinances and protecting our citizens, I just ask that every member of the board, the planning committee, that you guys look at it seriously and don't just say, oh, I don't believe that that's true, or I don't have, and you may not, but there's others who will. And it's our role, as your roles as municipal officers, to take that seriously and to look at what are concerns of individuals. So those are the points that I just wanted to stress this evening for you, and I will be happy. I will share that resource with you so you can look through that at your convenience. And anyone else who would like to see that, I'd be happy to share that with you as well.
What organization did this study?
So this was by Rick James and Mr. Punch, and I can, let's see here, they're professors in Michigan, and they're, I can send you that information. It's Jerry L. Punch and Richard R. James.
And then who paid for it, Carrie?
So I will, I believe that these were it was like part of their professor there at the school, but I don't know who funded their
Somebody
studying.
funded it.
So, yeah, but I can look into that, and I will definitely let you know on that. Yeah, but that's the same question, you know, that when we see flyers and stuff that say the other way, and, you know, don't take those flyers at face value. I also think, you know, in September of, hold on here, sorry. The first lease was signed in 2016, and that's fine. But flyers came late.
Yours went 8 seconds over. Hers stopped 8 seconds shy. Anyways, anybody have any questions or anything they might want to ask of that?
I have a comment.
Or any comment? Go ahead, John.
This was in the Orleans Hub, if anybody's aware of this, and this is from an association which includes 8 local health departments.
Well, hold on, John. This is just about what Carrie just presented.
This is health impacts.
Okay, but you have time to speak later. Is that what you're gonna bring up then?
I comment on that.
What?
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You want me to go ahead?
No, yeah, just couple minutes.
This is 8 local health departments sharing their concerns with the state and claiming that they haven't received proper data to evaluate the health impacts of the wind turbines thus far. And I can give you.
And this is in the Orleans Hub?
Yes, sir.
I missed it. I usually read it.
There's one copy.
Last week. Thank you. How did I miss this? It's a pretty picture too.
And according to the article, they're quite concerned.
4th of September, 2018.
Should come.
Okay.
Were you gonna say something further, Carrie?
No, I was just gonna, I knew what article he was referencing, and I was gonna clarify.
Okay. I just didn't want him to be addressing what he's gonna be talking about later, that's all. Thank you. Okay, next. Ms. McKenna.
Iva McKenna, East Ferry Road, Albion. And a couple of concerns that I have. One, my initial one is the 5-minute and that, I guess that I kind of feel like a lot of times I try to stand up for people that may not be able to stand up for themselves or may not know about things, you know, because they're not in group. And that's where my concern is with the survey as well, is that if we only do the people that are really strongly interested in this situation, then we don't get the outliers. We don't get the people that may not be on the in. And so that's where, so one is, if we ever have to do another survey, I really feel like to make people included, and I know that that's a concern of yours, is that we do mail something to every resident. I mean, it's $350, but certainly I feel like that's something that would be worthy of that expense. Another thing is, though, is that different things that have come up along the way, like this 5-minute rule, and I'm fine with it, and I understand everybody has a lot of things to do and should be, you know, prepared to speak briefly and to the point. But again, I would like everybody to know that. If somebody else happened to come in here for a concern that they had, for example, like Eric Watson in the situation that he had, if he didn't know that before, if he hadn't, he came, you know, made a special trip to get here, and then he got here and he didn't realize that. So the next time that we do a mailing that is to everyone, that might be something that we might also add in that mailing, is anything new that's come up that people need to be aware of, that they're going to, you know, that they should be aware of, so that they can also voice their concerns or whatever it may be. That's it.
Thank you. Is there anybody that may have some comment or question pertaining to what Ms. McKenna had to say?
Abin Naka, 4285 Oak Orchard Road. In talking today with the,
This is pertaining to
yeah,
what?
in talking today with some of
Okay.
the concept, I can't think of the name, but I'll come up with it, Public Integrity Bureau, they claim that a 5-minute rule is only supposed to be instituted when there is a large portion of the public, not for small meetings, and that everyone should be able to be heard at all times for whatever they have to say to their officials, and their officials should hear them out. So you can call the Integrity Board, I have the name if you'd like to verify that.
New York State.
It was New York State.
Okay.
You can give the meeting later.
I have it
No
on
problem.
you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions or anything? Okay. Dr. McKenna.
George McKenna, East Berry Road. Ever since this started, I've been looking for the pros and the cons of how this is going to benefit the town. And my wife and I have taken this one step further. We went to the Wyoming County Fair. And as long as we were there, let's talk to people there that are dealing with them every day. Pretty much 90%, 95%, we're very happy with them. I go, wow, okay, great. Why? And their comment back, and this is just a few, was their supervisor did such a good job that they pay 0 taxes, that they have garbage pickup for free, that they have, the fire department gets so much money that they were able to save that, and this year buy an ambulance with cash for a small town. So they was, great things. We then drove to Bliss, and we went to a few houses and stopped in and just asked if we could come in and talk. and they were very nice people, came in, they said that for the most part, you know, it was great. So I said, well, why, to this lady, she said you have to realize that, with no taxes, I said, well, you have so many around, do you hear them? She goes, yes, we hear them, at night, we hear them when there's a storm. That's one thing I wish, is that they were set back further. The flicker you get used to, you pull the shades. I said, well, are you a lease or a benefit? And then she laid out that they had the opportunity, every person in the town, to go and sign up with the company. She gets a check for $500 every 3 months for the life of it. Each family that signed up. She goes, she only knows of one family that didn't sign up because they were greatly opposed to it. They said, no, that's the way we're gonna do it. She said that they put all the good on the negotiator and the town team. It was Joe Kushner. He was offered a lease, and he said no, that he wasn't gonna work with anybody that had a lease, anybody was gonna get any financial thing, he was just gonna negotiate with them. And he did a wonderful job. The town, to this point, is very happy. Now, in saying that, they are only 300 feet. They're not very tall wind turbines at all. And if she's saying to set them back from there, that's still a concern for me. So at this point, I was saying, okay, what I've been getting told and heard, George, we can't negotiate now. We can't, it's Article 10, it's all there, pilot program. So we've contacted the Director of Public Affairs at New York State Department of Public Service. His name is James Dent. He's the main guy that's communicates with Article 10 and that. And I asked him about negotiating factors and what I was told here that you couldn't negotiate. He said, no, you should be negotiating right now. You should be contacting the other municipalities, what they got, other things, do your homework, get it, and start negotiating now. And, well, he said before, he said you should have been negotiating long ago. Which I said when the Met Towers were going up and we had that discussion. So that's, I'm still against it. Don't get me wrong, I still have concerns, I still don't really, I want to see the horizon, I want to see the sunset. I still like the beauty of the Berry the way it is now. But we also have to look at the pros, and I can see some of the reasons in here as far as property value, you know, yeah, I think that's gonna be a real thing. Unless, yeah, there's no taxes at all, and you're getting 2,000 people who want to come here and live. And I don't think we do have a property problem, value drop. But we gotta get on it. Because if we don't, and they just come in and you do this pilot program, which you don't have to take, he said, if we do the pilot program, I think we're looking at this 20 to 40% decrease as the studies have shown. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody have anything to say about that? Any questions?
Yeah, I sent you a letter that said exactly the same thing about a year ago. Pretty much the same thing George just commented on. That the taxpayers should receive a portion of the money, or that they should be tax exempt. If we're gonna produce energy and send it down the road, everyone should be compensated.
I guess,
I'm sorry, did you say every resident or?
every resident that signed up, they had the opportunity to go and sign
So if
up.
there's a household of
Yeah, he
5,
said-
they only got 1 check?
The household, per household, yes.
Per household, thank
Well,
you.
whether they had a turbine or not, she didn't
Yes,
have any
yeah,
turbines on her
I
property.
understood that part, I just wanted to make sure that.
This wasn't a lease with,
No, did
this
not have
was
a
like
lease.
you and I later.
And that's the
going
other thing,
down.
she said the leaseholders, she knew the people, the leaseholders, they were also getting a percentage of the electricity that was being taken. So it was a win-win-win. We didn't get a chance to stop in at, the energy company was Noble?
Yeah.
Noble, we didn't get a
It
chance.
was called, it is.
Yeah.
And they're paid directly by the
No.
wind company?
Right,
to
directly by the
them?
wind, she said
It's
yes.
not some money
Every
that was
3
given to
months.
the town and the town wrote the check?
Nope, every 3
Okay.
months it came right from the.
But it's no
company.
longer called Noble, there's a new name to it. It's made up.
Sean, I'm wondering if that is the royalty.
No, they don't, they're not leaseholders. The
No, I know, but
leaseholders
the
were getting them.
royalty afterwards, so, I mean, maybe the royalty is being shared with
No,
They were
this
getting,
is, I don't know.
she also said that there was individuals that like, if a person had, bad TV reception and stuff, their DirecTV was paid. Things like that. She was saying, you know, certain neighbors were also compensated if they had some problems. So, I mean,
So that goes back to our survey, where one of the, what was it, the first one that was on that survey? About complaints and so on?
and there will, I will.
Complaint resolution procedure.
And I think,
Back to that.
as far as like the TV reception, I'll say again, when I talked to the manager at Arkwright, he said without a doubt, there will be TV reception problems.
What,
If you don't have direct dish.
what year were those put in, Don?
10 years ago, she said, they've been 10 years ago.
So that was before Article 10, right?
Right, so that's why I did though, I
And
went
they
back
could
and talked to
negotiate
him.
direct,
That-
where now you
But then,
don't.
he talked about.
That's why I went back and talked to James Den, as the director, you know, just this, because that's what we've been getting as well as Article 10, we can't negotiate.
But that's not true, it's not right.
James Den, D-E-N?
D-E-N-N.
D-E-N-N.
So he stated that now is the time, and that is not in, so Article 10, like, if you don't negotiate, then they will help make sure that you get something. But if our town officials aren't negotiating ahead of time and making sure and getting as much as you can from it, that it's going to be, you're not gonna have as much leverage as if you wait. That they are not, you can, above and beyond what is Article 10, you can impose anything you would like, and you can establish, you know, what you would like as a community, what you're saying, this is our agreement, this is what we have come to.
And there was one that, maybe it was Arkwright, maybe it was them too, they had an annual party that they paid for also, town party.
I see a hand, but I can't see the face. Okay, Mr. Neck.
Lynn Hackett, work with your girl. What about adjacent landowners at their property lines are 30 feet from the leasee property owners? From my back barn, 30 feet from one side, 20 feet from the other side. What about that?
For what reason?
Well, am I gonna put a wood turbines in my barn if it falls over?
I
How
don't.
about that?
That's another question, I think. I don't think that relates to what Dr. McKenna was addressing at this moment. Ms. McKenna?
I guess that I was saying, I think that what's being said here is to be careful. Now is the time to be
Yes.
making wise decisions. Because just like with, whether it's what he says, or whether it's your health concerns or whatever, to get all the information now, so that, because it's not like it's a motor home. It's not like it's a motor home, it's not like it's a camper or something like that, that you can say, oh gee, you know what? We don't like it there, it's not working there, it's too much sound, or it's, it's above the sound level or whatever. We have to protect ourselves, we have to be on top of this, we have to know, because once it's done,
Just done.
yeah, it's done, you're not gonna just be moving them around, and so people really need to investigate this and find out what's the reality of it. From my understanding, they're way taller than anything else in the United States. So do we really know how it will sound? Do we really know? There's a lot of information that really is so critical. You gotta consider everybody. Yeah, a lot of people, some people would be benefiting greatly, but would others be, having to pay for that?
Right.
Can
Okay.
I help you, Mark?
Sorry?
Was there something else that you
No.
wanted me to say? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I just,
Mr. Palmer.
Gary Palmer, 5660 Oak Orchard Road. Wanted to address the signing up before the meeting. I realize tonight you're doing a little different. You're allowing people to add comments after somebody has spoke, which I'm glad you did, because last month Mr. Mathis had said something about he was concerned with the survey and people outlying from the town of Barry getting them and commenting on them. And, you know, I had a suggestion that I could have brought up a month earlier, that we had to wait till this month because I couldn't speak because I hadn't signed up. And in response to that, if we're concerned about outsiders from the town of Barry, we've got an election coming up here in November. We should put it on ballot, find out just how the town of Barry feels. A vote with the voting machines, there's gonna be no doubt, it's either yes or no. There's no way to screw the numbers around and do whatever you want with them. A wise old man once told me, liars don't figure, or figures don't lie, liars figure. And when you start dealing with surveys, you can spin them any way you want. I worked production for many years. I had 8 hours and had to get so much work done, and we all wanted to play cards, so we learned how to play with the numbers, so I know it can be done. But I just want to thank you for, you know, allowing us to comment afterwards. And I am still opposed to the windmills.
Any comments? Okay. And next is Mr. Naka. Alex.
It's all right with you, yeah, that's right.
Okay. While we wait, and we'll combine it with yours, okay, Jen?
Roger that.
Next is the other Mr. Naka, but I hear he's gone.
Yes.
Miss Naka.
Robin Napa, 4285 Oak Orchard Road. We addressed this, was there an executive board meeting, or an executive meeting on 9/5/18? Did the planning board hold a meeting?
You're referring to last Monday, a week ago?
No, Monday was a holiday. I called, I was on Wednesday the 5th. And I
9/5.
called at 4 and was told that there wouldn't be a planning board meeting until the 10th. But then, when some people came in, they were told that there was a planning board meeting going on. If there were 2 people of that planning board in there, then it would have been considered a public meeting. And I have the rules and regulations, again, from that integrity office. The lawyer I was telling you I spoke with the other time, it said, any meeting has to be given 72 hours notice, a minimum, even if it's a prop 2 meeting. It has to be posted a couple of places, and it should be, if it's not a general meeting, it should have been at least a 7-day notice in the paper. So they all have to be scheduled, and it does state that executive sessions are part of a meeting. It's not an executive meeting, it's executive part of a meeting.
It's part of the meeting, yes.
And you have to have a motion, and then you vote on it. Anything that goes on within that executive session has to have minutes. You have to state why the executive session was started, and minutes have to be appropriately taken for that. I have all of the logs, which I'd like to give to you so that you can get a copy of that meeting that attended.
Okay. And I agree with everything you had to say at the beginning, but what you're referring to last Wednesday was not a meeting. That was just a getting together between 2 planning board members and myself, and we were talking about questions to ask for the potential candidates for the open position. It was not a meeting. We were going over questions, designing questions to ask the candidates.
I'm not familiar with the word quorum, but he kept throwing that out, and he said if there's 2 or more, it's a quorum. Now, I don't know if that's true or not.
On a 5-man board, 3 is a quorum. Planning board 7, so you'd have to have 4.
That's what he was saying. So did
Okay.
you say there was only 2 people?
There was only the 2 people, the 2 co-chairpersons and myself. And we sat and we designed the questions and how to evaluate the responses to each of those questions. And that's what we did that night. That's all, it wasn't a meeting, other than that I was helping them because of my educational background, helped design, because I've done a lot of interviews in the past. And that's all that was about.
That's what I was asking, so,
Mhm.
like if there is a meeting that we're involved in it.
Yes, of course.
All right, thank you.
I don't know, if you don't want me to say anything, I won't, just tell me, no, be quiet. But, I was informed, that that's the way that it was going to, as far as a meeting, for the planning board, for the applicants, that, each member was going to be given a question to ask myself and Steve, and then depending on our response, it was gonna be a numerical answer,
yes.
and then it was gonna come together, and, you know, those numbers were gonna be, you know, tabulated and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, at first I go, yeah, that's fine. But the more I thought about it, and I gave Tom a call yesterday, and he hasn't returned my call yet. And I said, the way I look at it, I don't know if there's bylaws that you can only have so many alternates in that, but if you have people that are willing to serve on a public board, you shouldn't discourage that. So I would say, and I told Tom this, you know, we can both serve as alternates. The more people that you have input in this, the better it's gonna be. And as far as serving, if everybody's there, you have to serve anyways. But if it comes up to serve in that, yeah, I think I should get, you know, seniority because I'm old. But it's, because it's just gonna be a lose-lose situation.
Yeah.
If I take the position, you're losing a good man in Steve. That might really discourage you. If I don't, then you gotta count with, how can a person that's lived in Barry all his life, that has a business for 28 years, that has been a member of both churches for 30 years, that's been a lifetime member of our Barry Fire Company, honorary now, that's coached Babe Ruth baseball, that's, you know, been a supporter of Little League, of the girls softball team, of the Barry Bears, that's just gonna look bad, because it's gonna just look bad. So I threw that out to Tom, he didn't respond back to me, I just left a message. I talked to Wes today, and he said, I agree, and he was gonna talk to me.
That was something that we had talked about, well, after Paul had passed away and had to open up positions and so on. What if? And we all agreed with what you just said. People are willing to step forward and help out. That's one of the complaints we have in this community. Not enough people step forward to help out. I know that Wes did send me a text a couple hours ago before the meeting, asking the same thing you just brought up about both. So I haven't responded to his yet, so
Okay.
we'll talk. We'll talk about it. No problem.
I've got a comment. We have a public meeting, and we welcome anybody to come, so your opinion will still be at the meeting.
Okay.
But if you're not an alternate, unless they need the space to go in as an alternate, they can vote, which is nice. And I think your opinion will weigh a lot more if you were at the member, you know, giving out your opinion.
Okay.
Do you know, Kurt, what the bylaws say as far as the number of people?
Well, we have 2 alternates, we have 7 members and 2 alternates.
See, I brought this up because
So we
why
have
is
to
it
look
the,
at that, whether to change it or not, that would be the.
why is the zoning board, which is about the same size, only have 1 alternate, and then the planning board has 2 alternates?
Zoning is only 5.
It's only 5? I thought, no.
Look at your zoning.
Okay.
There's only 5.
Don't believe me.
I thought sure there was a 6th person on the zoning.
Alternate.
No, besides the alternate. I thought sure there was. Okay, I stand corrected.
Very good point, George. We'll look into
Yeah, we'll check it out.
what we have to do to maybe change something.
I mean, you're gonna have to have all hands on deck, as far as I see.
Okay. Anybody else? Good. Mr. Metzler?
Always fun. Yeah, I have several documents here that I would like to give to you. One was from the U.S. Department of the Interior. And in that letter, it pretty much calls out Apex twice on their bird studies. And I'm bringing that up because it's timely, because I got the We Don't Kill Birds postcard like everybody else did. But and this was to Kathleen Burgess. And in one paragraph, it says, in conclusion, the service is concerned about the proposed location of this is Lighthouse project. Contrary to statements in the PSS, the service's radar data indicates large numbers of flying animals using the project area. Based upon that information, the risk to wildlife from operating wind turbines could rise to severe levels. Previously, the service has recommended, and it gives recommendations in there for how far they should be away. Here's another one, and there's 3 or 4 times in here where they admittedly called out Apex. A statement is made on page 50 of the PSS that theorizes the waterfowl, waterbird, and shorebird mortality from wind turbines is uncommon and unlikely to occur. Site conditions and species distributions vary across sites, and such generalized statements should be removed. In contrast, the service's radar data for Lighthouse site shows large aggregations of birds using the project area, and many indicate flocks of these birds near potential turbine locations. You gotta ask yourself, where do all those birds come from? We have 3 refuges here. East Barry is a major flyway for the birds that travel back and forth sometimes, because geese will fly great distances. When they harvest crops, the geese are gonna be landing in the fields where the turbines are. And in here it talks about that as well, and how there's a potential risk for high mortality rates when they do that. So I'm gonna give you a copy of that. And earlier I mentioned Labella, we talked a little bit about the survey. This was a Justice Department complaint that was filed. They had to file it 3 times. And let me see, the complaint was filed with the Department of Justice under the Sherman Antitrust Act by concerned citizens from the states of New York, Vermont, Maryland, and California. In that, Labella is named in the complaint, and it says, as these consultants are being paid to conclude that these massive projects are environmentally benign, they design and carry out studies that conclude exactly that. Although many of these reports look valid at first glance, with lots of tables and graphs and digital simulations, a closer look reveals that they have little, if any, scientific rigor or merit. In numerous cases, the methodology makes little sense to a reasonable person. For example, many of their avian studies report that they identified migrating birds at night by shining flashlights into the dark skies. These same studies also use the technique of moon watching, in which the scientists looked at the moon through binoculars, counted the number of birds he supposedly saw. At another study, the avian mortality at turbine site in Oregon, the majority of the dead birds were found upwind of the turbines. In the real world, birds killed by turbines would be found downwind. The data that was reported must have been falsified. In general, these consultants work only for wind energy developers, and they have limited, if any, credentials. And I've asked you all to ask, I've tried to get Labella, these people who speak for Labella, their credentials. Where did they go to school? They all claim to be environmental experts. Did they go to environmental schools? And that includes the law firm that they utilize. When you guys interview people for a job, don't you ask for their bona fides? We should have done the same with Labella.
Well, real quick, if I may interrupt, you were at that public hearing that we had, and they gave their credentials of where they graduated, what schools they went.
No, they never mentioned where they went to school or anything. They just said they were experts, Sean.
Okay.
Okay, I'm not taking anybody's word anymore when it comes to what's going on out here with these turbines and these businesses. And there's 66 people in this complaint alone who filed complaints, and I'll give you a copy of the complaint. You can study it all yourself. In fact, you can scan it in, and then everybody gets a copy.
Please.
My concern is for transparency and the care and welfare of the people that we live in there, and the town that we live in. I mean, how many more people can we lose in there before everybody's gone? You know what I mean? And this is just another example of the questions that keep coming up when we have to deal with Labella, when we deal with Apex. And in this case, it was a whole bunch of other, there's racketeering charges and everything in there, and price fixing, and you wouldn't, the shenanigans that go
Apex?
on throughout the whole wind industry.
Okay.
It's not just Apex, to be honest, to be fair about everything. So, that's all I have for tonight.
Okay. Make sure I get a copy of that, please, John. I greatly appreciate it.
I'd like to, if you want the Fish and Wildlife thing, I'll give you both of them.
Okay. Anybody have any questions or statements or anything? Comments?
I'd
Yes,
like to just make one statement along with that. I think some people don't really care about animals, wildlife, the environment. They really don't care. I had one person in our town who told me they probably have a permit to do this, but they shoot deer out of season because they're nothing but rats. And that's fine, you wanna call them rats, whatever, but the farmer that acquired the land kitty corner from us filled in a natural pond. It was a pond that had been dug years ago, and we had wood ducks over there, we had geese over there, all kinds of turtles, green herons, great blue herons, all in the name of a little more money in his already overflowing pockets. He filled in the pond, took out all the woods, and turned it into a field. Well, good for him. He's gonna be that much more wealthy, pay a little more tax, do whatever. My green herons are gone. The green herons that we've had there forever, they came this spring, they're gone. Because they relied on that pond. The great blue herons are gone. When you disturb the environment, and the wind turbines are going to disturb the environment, maybe not just the turbines themselves, but the construction of these wind turbines are going to have a great, it's going to disturb our environment big time. And I was surprised, those green herons have been nesting in our little woods since we bought our land. They've been there, and they're gone. So, I did ask to be put on to speak.
Yeah, I had you as the last one here, and I take it that this is it.
Well, I
Go ahead.
can wait my turn because I do have other questions too, so if you want me to wait, I'm.
Okay.
But I just wanted to put that in there that, some people don't care about that, but there are many people that do. And we should too. The whole town should care. We are a very, our town is a natural resource.
I'll make one comment that I was supposed to speak at the Rod and Gun Club a couple months ago, and I ended up, it was my mom and dad. But one of the things I was gonna bring up there was they've been working so hard at the Iroquois Wildlife with these eagles and eagle nesting system. And how many years has that been going on? And they haven't got too far with it. I mean, it's numbers, you'd think it'd be more. If, God forbid, one of those eagles were killed, what is gonna be the thought of the town of Berry for the whole of western New York? Because there's a lot of people that go and see those eagles.
Yeah, it's not just the eagles, there's the osprey too.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Ms. Van Lee Show.
I'm Cindy Van Leesha, 4759 Old Orchard Road. I just wanted to say, I've lived here for 35 years, and we're in favor of the windmills. I like not having neighbors. I mean, I know I have a lot of neighbors where we live, but I mean, I like our community because there aren't houses after houses, but we can't keep going the way we're going. Our roads are deteriorating. They've gotten worse over the last 30 years. We can't take any more money. We have 15 people that can't even afford to pay their taxes now. So I think that we have to consider something, and I think it's time to consider. We have an opportunity to consider something, and I think we need to make the best deal for our town and the people that live here. And I don't think that the deal should be more houses.
I'm trying to scribble fast, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Okay, that takes us right back to you, Ms. Burnside.
Any comments on Cindy's?
I'm sorry, yes.
John? With her comment on the highways and with what George said, I know a fellow that lived in Bliss, sold his farm, but in his negotiations, they also repaired every road in the town.
Thank you. Second, John, did you want to speak? No. Okay. John?
Marty's scanned the documents in. Well, we did it the other night, and she hasn't signed off to you, so they are on the system.
Okay.
We'll get a copy sometime. If you want a hard copy, I've got one there.
Temperature's rising in here.
And a wind turbine
Can you speak up a little more?
Sorry. Kind of dry.
Can we go up front?
They'll kick off in a few more.
They'll kick off. That's all right. It's not your fault.
So if I can start over.
Just get the rental stops, it won't run too much.
So one of my questions is, I think it goes along with what Mr. Naka was trying to say. One of my questions is, as I understand it, there is a 1,500-foot right-of-way around the turbine. Is that true? Can you answer that then?
Sure, we use a 1,500-foot setback to homes.
1,500, okay, so what is the radius around each wind turbine that you're not supposed to mess around with?
You can farm right at the base.
Okay, so is there, if the wind turbine is, I don't know, 30 feet from my property line, is there a concern with that?
We do not propose setting turbines 30 feet from anybody's property.
Okay, what is the setback from a property line?
In our proposal? Well, if we're speaking about the proposal I put forward on Monday night, and not Cindy's comments, we were proposing to use the town's current standard of tip height and a half to non-participating parcels. So you take tip height times 1.5, and that would be the step back to parcels who are not under lease. So to you, 900 feet, or 600 feet.
600 feet.
900 feet.
900 feet. So I think that's what he was referring to as far as the property line.
That would be from the property line, or would that be from the residence?
That would be the property line.
The property line.
1,500 feet.
And are we saying that if our zoning ordinances are how many feet from the property line for the house?
It depends what, are you talking about a side set or front
Yes,
set?
front or back?
Front or back, it depends on which, roughly it can be 15 feet or 50 feet.
Okay,
Depends
so
on
900
what
is
district.
15 feet from my home. I think that's what he's saying, and I think that that's what we're kind of asking is, can you review that as a town board? Is that far enough away from our homes? Is 900 feet far enough away from our homes?
1,500 feet from homes.
So is that far enough away from our homes? that.
Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
And then I wanna, Ben, if you were to describe how gigantic the hole is gonna be in the ground, as far as around the circumference and how deep, all I can think of is my brother used to work in the pit over at Keeler Construction, and I think that was 20-some feet down. How far down are you going?
Well, it depends on the turbine model and the ground itself at each site, but call it 10 feet, 12 feet.
Okay.
Well, that's not what Neil said.
I've heard as much as 50.
I got it right here. You won't give 50.
Am I on trial?
No, I'm just,
No,
I'm just.
no,
You're gonna talk about
no.
Bending down the ground.
Well,
We're not in trial.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. And how big around is it? What's the
Oh,
circumference?
I don't know, 20 feet. We actually have a diagram up in our office if you care to come look.
Okay, all right. And, I just wanna tell you, on Culver Road, the home that's on Culver Road, somebody mowed the grass. I did get a hold of somebody, and spoke with them, and somebody did mow the grass. I kinda complained, and I told them, you know, I'm Cindy Burnside from Snow Realtors, and I'm also on the zoning board, could you please mow the grass? And what are you gonna do with the house? Somebody was out there today taking pictures of it, so I'm expecting that with me just calling and complaining a little bit, that they might be trying to pull that file up from the bottom and put it to the top, so crazy Cindy Burnside goes with it.
Okay. Thank you very much about that. Cindy made me think of something. You're going to be having an open house.
Apex, yes, 2.
Okay.
Friday, October 12th? Friday, October 12th, and Saturday, October 13th, right here. I think don't quote me on this, it'll be in the paper. The 12th will be 5 to 7, be in the evening, and then Saturday will be like midday. So those will be advertised.
So a lot of your questions you have at that time, you'll have your full team here, I assume.
We'll have some subject matter experts, the permitting team, a couple developers, just a lot of people answering questions.
Okay. So, you know, like the questions you were asking about how deep and all that other stuff, the experts will be here at that time and would be able to answer those questions for you.
I just wanted to make sure that I expressed my concerns so that the board, when you talk about it, and, you know, going along with what Dr. McKenna said, you know, if there's things that, you know, if you would please keep that in mind, environment, things like that.
Definitely. Yes.
So I just have a quick, so when Cindy was just talking about the property line.
Sorry, I
I
forgot about that.
And property line versus residence, and I think that the concern is that if you're looking at someone's residence and they have a decent sized property, their home may not be in the back or like closest where it would be that farther distance, but say if they wanna put up a barn or they wanna put up something in the back corner of their property or their lot, then that would be within that realm that they're referencing as, you know, right of way or setback area. So just that every resident's entire property should be protected, not just their actual residence. And that it shouldn't be overlooked or just like, oh, we don't have to worry about it because their home is far enough away. Well, they own that property, and their property should be protected.
The way I read our zoning laws, it's from the property line.
Property line.
So
not the house.
what you do on your property would be fine.
Sorry if I may, there are 2 clauses, separate clauses that we're talking about that exist in the current zoning. So one is setback to homes, the other is setback to property boundaries, so they don't relate to each other. So you can have a
That's the
situation.
way I interpret it.
You can have a situation where if we put a turbine on an adjacent property, right, if the setback is 900 feet there, if there's a home on that property boundary, we have to be 1,000 feet away from the home, then we have to move 100 feet back, see what I'm saying, from the property boundary. So it'd be easier to discuss.
So it'd be
with the-
farther.
the graphic or something. So
Right.
Look forward to doing that at the planning board next
Well,
month.
When we get the big screen.
Yeah, or even a whiteboard would be helpful.
That wall's out.
But a whiteboard never breaks, you know? Nobody has.
Any other comments?
You can get it for us. That'd be nice of you. We'd like that.
WB Mason's got whiteboard on sale right now, 2 foot by 3 feet. Cheap.
No other questions? Okay, then I would like to entertain a motion for us to go into executive session for a personnel matter.
I'll make the motion.
I hear a second. All in favor? Aye. So be it.